All right, good evening. I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and this show is called Fight CPS, the Civil Rights Struggle. We generally talk about issues of fighting CPS with civil rights violations, and I want to tell you about a story about a case that I'm currently involved with. This case is a place where we're trying to get children placed with a relative, and the social workers are dragging their feet. But then something interesting happened today. Allegedly, the social worker interviewed a relative and told the relative, unless you tell me that the allegations that are true regarding the parents, I'm not going to give you the children. And the grandparents said, I don't know if the allegations are true, either way. And the social worker allegedly said, well, if you don't tell me that they're true, I'm not going to give you the children. So we're in the process of dealing with that right now. And I want to tell you how we're going to address this situation. If you can give me one moment, I have to do something technical, but hold on and I'll be right back.
They say that they're interested in taking care of the little innocent ones. They're not taking care of our son. They told us they could do a better job than us, Doc. That's what they said.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection. Okay, and that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
You're not proving your guilt, innocence, or anything. You're proving how better a parent you are to the system. And you're just driving to be the parent.
Typically associate blessing with this fictional, painless existence and things going as we think they should.
It's so frustrating when you're the parent and you feel like, the judge, he doesn't know. And like you said, who is he going to believe? The parents accused of these horrendous allegations, or the social worker? Why would she lie about it?
The kids are traumatized, and the one person that they need to go to is still unsure what really happened.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
Families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
The families are destroyed, sometimes never to come back the same.
Come here.
Kids are not safe in child protective services.
So my son with special needs has been in 4 different homes. It doesn't seem real.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This is someone took your child. Your flesh and blood.
They say that they're interested in taking care of the little innocent ones. They're not taking care of our son. They told us they could do a better job than us, Doc. That's what they said.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection. Okay, and that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
You're not proving your guilt, innocence, or anything. You're proving how better a parent you are to the system. And you're just driving to be the parent.
They say that they're interested in taking care of the little innocent ones. They're not taking care of our son. They told us they could do a better job than us, Doc. That's what they said.
If I could say anything to a mother who just got their children detained, you're in a crisis. Life feels like it's over. The most important thing is regaining custody of your children.
The child welfare system at its core is designed to protect children who need protection. Okay, and that's key, is who need protection.
So social workers, out of fear, will remove more children rather than only remove those children that truly need to be removed.
The difference between the criminal system and the child welfare system is substantial. You have more rights as a criminal than you do as a parent.
You're not proving your guilt, innocence, or anything. You're proving how better a parent you are to the system. And you're just driving to be the parent.
Typically associate blessing with this fictional, painless existence and things going as we think they should.
Because it's so frustrating when you're the parent and you feel like, yeah, the judge, he doesn't know. And like you said, who is he going to believe? The parents accused of these horrendous allegations, or the social worker? Why would she lie about it?
The kids are traumatized, and the one person that they need to go to is still unsure what really happened.
Were there signs there? Were there no signs? Did I miss them? Did I catch them? At this point, I honestly don't know.
families only get a finite amount of time to reunify.
The families are destroyed, sometimes never to come back the same.
Come here. Kids are not safe in Child Protective Services.
So my son with special needs has been in 4 different homes. It doesn't seem real.
This isn't someone stole your car. Someone broke into your house. This someone took your child. Your flesh and blood.
Hello, Savannah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'm Vince Davis. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Could
I'm
be better.
having some technical difficulties with my stream, my video, but instead of wasting any more time, why don't we start and see if we can answer your questions, okay?
Okay.
So what questions did you have for me this evening?
Um, I'm in a CPS case right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I have 3 kids. I have a 7-year-old, a 1-year-old, and an 8-month-old. I'm trying to get my husband, who I am legally married to, trying to get him involved in the visits with me because my case plan is family reunification. How do I address that if it's family reunification? Why can't he be involved in the visits? Or how can I, like, what should I do? Because they're not even placed in the same home.
Is he the father of the children?
No, none.
See, that's the problem. Generally, CPS cases are limited to people who are classified as parents or legal guardians. Now, there is a way to solve that. I don't know what state you're in, and you don't have to tell me. But in
I'm in
California,
I'm in Arizona.
okay, so I'm going to answer the question as if you were in California. In California, he can make a motion to be involved in the case to become a de facto parent or a presumed parent. I'm going to guess, but you're going to have to check with your attorney, if such a motion can be made for a stepfather in your state.
Okay.
Okay. Because if he were in California, they'd tell him the same thing. You can't be involved. You're not the parent. But California has a couple, emergency outs to fix that problem, and that is becoming a de facto parent. And that's generally a person who has raised and taken care of the child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a presumed parent. So in California, a child can have more than 2 legal parents. There's the biological parent, but what if there's a person that has been basically raising the child for, the last 10 years? Usually that's a stepfather or something like that. They can get presumed parent status, and that means they have equal.
Take your left.
They have equal status as a parent. So that's one of the things that you can do, Savannah.
Okay. Yeah. Because he was there when I had my 8-month-old. He was in the hospital when I had my little one. So, but my son knows who he is and everything, and my girl's dad is in jail. So he wants to go to the visits. He wants to go see the kids and everything. And And so I'm trying to get him involved as soon as possible because my next court date is January 14th. And if I don't have everything done, then they go up for adoption. And I don't want that.
No, that's understandable. You don't want that. He might be able to help you in your strategy. The one thing that I would suggest that he do is he go talk to an attorney, that's experienced in CPS cases, and that you also talk to your attorney regarding CPS cases. Okay.
Okay, so he would have to get an attorney to talk to mine and all that good stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Any other questions you have for us this evening?
No, hold on. My husband might. Hold on.
Okay.
She's been having problems with the caseworker, and because the case is out of Maricopa and we're in Kingman, it's hard to freaking, see the caseworker, communicate with the caseworker or anything like that. And we're having trouble getting a new caseworker. We're having it transferred up here. How do we do that?
You want to transfer the case from one county to another?
Right.
Yes.
Or yeah.
Or get a different caseworker.
Okay. So in California, to get a different caseworker, all you have to do is make a motion to change caseworkers for various reasons. The caseworker has not told the truth, is biased, that type of thing. In California, there are provisions, they're rarely used, though, to make a motion to replace a social worker. It can be done, it is legal. And I would guess that in your state, they probably have the same thing, but you need to talk to your attorney about doing it. Now, the other one is you talked about moving the case to another county.
Yes.
That can be done, but it's a little bit more difficult. In California, you have to challenge venue or the county where the case is at the beginning of the case. And if you wait throughout the case, you can ask to change venue, in particular when the parents move out of the county. So, for example, if you were in Phoenix, what county is that?
Maricopa.
Yeah, so if you were in Maricopa, but then you guys move to another county, say in northern Arizona, you can make a motion to have the case serviced because in that new county, because a social worker in Maricopa County, they might not be able to help you and give you resources and be familiar with things in your new county. So, especially if the case is if you're still living in Arizona, you can do that. There are even provisions for you to even change states, to have your case sent from Arizona to, say, for example, New York, if you had moved to New York. It's not automatic. You have to make a certain type of motion. But, it can be done.
Okay. Because, like I said, I barely talk to my caseworker. I barely talk to my attorney. And I'm doing this all on my own. And it's hard.
I try my hardest.
What do you mean you're doing it on its own?
Well, I have an attorney, but he doesn't communicate
very well with you.
Very well. He and my caseworker doesn't communicate at all with me. She's lied and all this, and I have my husband, but he doesn't.
I mean, I'm not included in the case because
he doesn't have any kids, so my 3 kids are his, and so he's trying to help me and be my support, which he is, but everybody that I've talked to, they're like, I don't know. I've never had a CPS case. I don't know what to do. I don't know anything.
Well, you're going, unfortunately, trying to do these cases without lawyers is, a difficult task, right? And then, a lot of people tell me, well, their lawyer's no good, or, and like you're saying, doesn't communicate. I don't know every particular situation, but I do know you're better off in most cases with a lawyer, than without a lawyer. Now, in California, you're allowed to, if there is a conflict or something type of disagreement has arisen between you and your lawyer, you can make a motion. In California, it's called a Marsden motion, to have a new court-appointed attorney and I don't know your finances or your economic situation, but you and your family could hire a private attorney. I know a
I wish I
couple.
could hire you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I know a couple great lawyers in Phoenix who are fighting CPS and wearing them out and really fighting for people's rights. Um, you know, but
Is there a way you could email me their numbers so I could call them?
I what I'd ask you to do, if you look on the screen, Grace's telephone number is on there, and she's the producer.
Okay.
Text Grace a message for me to get her that information, and she'll provide it to you, hopefully by tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you
So
and if you call them, just say, hey, Vince Davis in California referred me to you, and see, hopefully they'll be able to help you.
okay.
One of them will know who I am for sure. The other one, I don't know if he would remember me, but
Okay.
they're both very good attorneys.
Okay. So I could even ask them if they could be an attorney for my husband now, to
Oh yeah,
see if how he could get in and get involved.
right. Now, is your case in Maricopa County?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they're right there, basically, in the Phoenix Scottsdale area.
Yeah.
So they're right there.
My attorney is Jeremiah Jensen.
Okay. Well, let's not mention any more names.
Well, I'm just saying that's who I have.
Okay. So I don't know your attorney, and we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll text Grace and have her get you that for me to get that information.
Right. All right, Savannah, thank you for calling in, so to speak, asking your question and agreeing to appear this evening. Hopefully your questions and my answer is going to help somebody out there in the audience, and if not today, in the future, because these videos, they live on forever.
Oh yeah, I watch him on Facebook all the time. After your live ended, I go back and I watch him. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but let me tell you a secret. These videos and the really good videos appear on YouTube, on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I got the notification for that too. So
I'm about to, I did a series of videos. They're about 50 minutes to 1 hour, and they're instructional videos to help you and to help your attorney, or help you help your attorney in these CPS cases. And I cover a broad range of subjects, and a lot of people are asking me to continue doing them. And, I'm going to continue doing them because I got 35 years of, just experience up there, and share them with people. I'm starting to get a lot of comments from people who watch these videos and tell me, hey, Mr. Davis, because of your video, I got my kids back, or, I won my trial, or, stuff like that. So that's really warming to my heart that I'm able to, and we're able to give this information out to people. Hey, Savannah, thanks for going on. I'm going to bring on another guest, but good night and have a good evening.
you too.
All right, Amanda, fixing that hair, girl. You look good.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I need your help. In 2019, I left my ex after being together for 7 years. He had held me and my kids hostage for 3 days and brutally tried to murder me. On the third day, I was able to fight hard enough to get my hand out a window and get somebody to finally call for help. They didn't arrest him. When I went to the hospital, of course, I knew they were going to open up a case. I was living with my mother and my sister at the time, an established residency in another county. I currently live in Indiana. This is all taking place in Indiana. In that time frame, DCS came to me January 7th and told me that they needed to see the kids. I let them see my kids, had nothing to hide. Things were going good. The court had ordered that he have supervised visits with his son. That's fine. I'm okay with that. February 28th came around and they took my children on an assumption that I would go back to my ex, because as most domestic violence victims do, they tend to go back. I unfortunately was not planning on going back. I had already discussed this with my mother, my sister, and had plenty of help and was secure to go. When they took my children, I completed 16 weeks of domestic violence survivor courses. I also completed 26 weeks of parenting classes, but even though they weren't questioning my parenting skills. I had my apartment for over a year and a half. I work as a security guard for a big corporation here in Indiana. I'm on my 5th DCS worker, and they've now are trying to TPR me. And I don't see how that's possible when I was stable for a year. The law even says that as long as a parent is fit, that no government agency can basically interject in that. And even my own attorney, who's a public defender at the time, he's like, yeah, no, your kids should have been home immediately. Yeah, they should have been. But now they're trying to adopt them out to this family after my own biological sister, who had them twice, turned them away because she got, no offense, got caught cheating on her husband. So she turned away my children. They ended up in foster care, and that's where they're at. In the last 4 years, my parental rights have been violated as far as medical, schooling. I don't get pictures. Like I said before, we're on our 5th DCS worker because 2 of which were trying to get me to sign one child over to my sister and one child over to them because the home-based caseworker was a foster parent. And using my better judgment, I never signed anything. Now they're trying to TPR me, and I just don't see how they can legally do this and not understand that they're literally trying to backdoor me out of my children.
Let me ask you something. Do you have an attorney that you're working with?
Unfortunately, a lot of the attorneys that I've spoken to, including Mr. Randall Parr.
Hold on, we don't want to mention any names.
Oh, no, I apologize. Most lawyers want big amount of money because the case is so messy. Right. My public defender, on the other hand, no offense, sir, he doesn't have balls to stand on.
Okay, so let's back up for a second, all right? Let me ask you a few questions, and I'm going to be talking to you and advising you as if the case were in California. I've never been to Indiana, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
But generally, the scheme of most CPS cases in most states follows the Department of Health and Human Services, the Federal Department of Health and Human Services scheme and guidelines. So it's very similar from state to state. But of course, you should check whatever I'm going to say with an Indiana attorney. Okay. Having said that, have they terminated your family reunification services?
No, they're still active.
Okay, now that's important. So one of the things that I would talk to my attorney about if I had a case in Indiana with my family reunification services still active is number one, you might want to write this down. Number one, you want to make a motion to have the kids placed with a friendly relative or family friend. Okay.
Okay.
And I've said this before, but I want you to think about this. If you were in jail accused of a crime and you hadn't bailed out, to prepare your defense with your lawyer is going to be much more difficult. There's going to be a series of hurdles that you're not going to be able to jump over because you're in jail. Kids in foster homes, not with friendly relatives, is akin to you being in jail and not out on bail. When you get your kids out on, into a friendly family home or a friend of yours, case becomes a lot easier. The leverage in the case changes dramatically. It tilts from being in CPS's favor to your favor. So at the very beginning, I always talk to people about getting kids placed with family members as early as possible. And a lot of people, to be honest with you, a lot of people don't want their family to know the kind of SHIT they're involved with. So they kind of shy away from it. And I'm always having to push this because I know all of the things that happen in a case where the kids aren't with family. So that's the number one thing that I to do if I were you to do. Now, the second thing is, a lot of times, I hate to say this. I want to say this very delicately. Your case comes up for what's called the 6-month review, and the social worker recommends that the child not be returned to you. Now, unfortunately, what I've seen lawyers not fight that. So at the 6-month review, you're entitled to have a full-blown trial to prove to the judge that the kid should be returned.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the typical thing, and I see this in a lot of cases that I'm involved with. The kids are removed from the family, the parents, at what's called the disposition hearing, and then they start the first 6 months of family reunification services. Well, at the end of the 6-month period, the social worker says, I don't think the kid should be returned to the family or to one of the parents at this time because blah, blah, blah. In reality, when you sit down and you analyze that legally pursuant to the statute in your state, that blah, blah, blah isn't sufficient to keep your kids away from you. But for whatever reason, your attorney decides, strategy or otherwise, I'm not going to challenge that. We're not going to have a trial, and we'll just accept that, come back in another 6 months.
Right.
And then the same thing happens at that 6-month hearing, and then another 6 months. So only because your attorney has decided for whatever reason not to have a trial, you don't get your kids back.
Right.
Now, I can't say, because I don't know your case at all. I can't say that your attorney is wrong for not having a trial. I can't say that because I don't know anything about your case. Right?
Yeah.
It might have been a good strategy. Have I ever done it? Yes, I have. All right. But the majority of the time I like to get in there, and scrap it up with CPS because basically they have to prove their case again at 6 months that you haven't done what you're supposed to do. Now, or that you shouldn't get the kids back because you haven't done what you're supposed to do. Now, what happens is, Amanda, a lot of times people call me up and they say, hey, Vince, I've done everything I'm supposed to do. And the social worker says she won't give me the kids back. And then I get into the case. And of course, what do I find out? Well, they haven't quite, right. They haven't quite done everything they're supposed to do. Right. And then I go marching into court and, the judge is like, what are you talking about, Davis? Your client forgot to do this or that, she hasn't done the case plan. And, I'm left, standing like I'm some type of, idiot. I'll tell you a quick story. Many years ago, this is many years ago, a woman and her father came to me and they told me, hey, she's done everything. Can you get the kids back? I said, well, I think so. If you've truly done everything. And the grandfather says to me, well, the only thing that she was supposed to do is she's supposed to test clean. And she's been testing clean, up in, for months. And I turn to the lady and I look at her and she's like, yeah, that's true. So I go running into court and, I'm telling everybody, I want a trial. I want a trial. I want a trial. And one of the attorneys, court-appointed attorneys who was on the case, who I knew, comes over to me and says, hey, Vince, have you seen the new report? And I said, no, they didn't send it to her. He says, well, look, borrow my copy and because you might want to rethink your strategy. So I'm flipping through the report and it says, oh, she's had, 7 or 8 recent dirty drug tests for heroin.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'm reading this and I'm thinking that must be wrong. She sat in my office and told me and her father that she's testing clean.
Right.
So I go kind of rushing out into the hallway and she sees me coming and she sees I've got a report in my hand. And she comes over to me and takes me down the hallway out of earshot of the family. And she says, you can't say anything to anyone. Right. And I said, well, this says you're testing dirty. Is that true? She goes, yeah, it's true. I said, but you told me in my office with your dad that you're testing clean. She goes, I know. There's a whole family dynamic going on about that. So I go in, basically I decide not to jump up on the table and stomp my feet. But basically the judge said, hey, your gal's not testing clean. Well, I can't give her the kids back. So we come out of the courtroom, and the mother basically took the position that it was my fault that we didn't get the kids back. She's already instructed me I can't divulge any client privileges and tell the family, especially her father, that, oh, your daughter's still using heroin. She's testing positive. And to this day, I think I'm the most low down, dirty attorney in the world, because I had to take the fall legally for the woman not getting her children back, because everybody in her family believes she was testing clean.
Right.
So when people tell me, hey, Mr. Davis, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do,
Right.
in my mind, I'm thinking about that story.
Right.
Are you really doing everything you're supposed to do? I
Well,
think people,
no,
I
I can
think,
relate to that.
I think people tell me that even if it may not be true, because they think I won't take their case, or they want me to try to make something go away. And
Right.
I don't have a magic wand. If a judge ordered you to do something before you met me, that's written in stone. I can't make that go away.
Right.
But if you tell me up front, hey, I didn't do this and that, there are little, side things I can do or try to do or tell you how to fix it really fast. But, I need to know basically the truth up front. But if you've done everything, you need to tell your lawyer, hey, look, you need to subpoena in all of my counselors and therapists and drug testing or whatever it is, my parenting instructor, bring their butts to court, have them get on the stand and testify that Amanda has done everything that she needed to do, that she has insight, and that she learned from all of these things. And if that happens, unless the judge says, I don't believe this witness or that witness, which is possible but not usual, you're supposed to get your children back. They have to prove every 6 months in California that you can't get your children back. They have to prove that. All right. So that's what the advice I have for you. And you need to talk to your attorney, and don't wait till the next court date. I email that person, or, send a letter or something that you can have as some type of evidence that you've contacted your court appointed attorney, and that you've told that person, hey, here's the proof, I've done everything, I expect to have my kids back, I expect you to set it for trial if the social worker says otherwise, and then it's on them, they have to do it.
Okay.
And if it doesn't happen, that's when you raise your hand in court and say, hey, judge, I'm not agreeing with all of this. I asked my attorney to do blah, 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 and he's not, or she's not doing it. Therefore, I need a new attorney.
Well, we kind of did that. Well, I've done that twice. The first time was back in 2020 when I almost got thrown out of court because, well, I didn't handle myself very nicely, and that was my fault. I won't own up for that. But the second time, I did say something about how my attorney did not do what I asked him to do. And, well, unfortunately, COVID has screwed up quite a bit of communications with the court systems, that the judges start getting frustrated when others or video calls seem to start screwing up. So by the time they get to you, they're so irritated that, well, no offense, they really don't either want to A, hear what you have to say, or B, they don't care. And that seems to be the ongoing problem here. Not to mention, whoever is in charge of the Chin's cases here in Indiana, it seems to be a big issue with not just my case being done wrong, but others being done wrong. And I'm noticing it more and more, like myself, that where parents have busted their behinds to try and get their kids home, they've all the way down to the bones. I mean, and yet those babies aren't here, and that does something to somebody.
Right. Sometimes you have to fight. You have to go to trial. You have to prove that the social worker is wrong.
Okay.
Okay? Don't, and if you're not getting satisfaction from your lawyer, you have to ask for a new lawyer, or you have to go out and hire a lawyer. You know, and I know that's painful because it's expensive, but these are your kids, right?
Yeah, no, these are definitely my children. I haven't stopped fighting for the last 4 years by myself. And I mean, when I say by myself, it's just been me.
Right.
So thank you for your help, Mr. Vincent.
Okay, Amanda. Thank you for agreeing to join us on the stream this evening. The next time you see us on the stream, if it's in 3 or 4 weeks, give us an update. All right.
I definitely will. Thank you.
Good night. All right. So it looks like the producer has a bunch of other people, and let's go with. I guess this is Miss T. You're kind of sideways there, Miss T.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry.
Can you turn it? Oh, there you go. Perfect.
I'm
Perfect.
so glad I could finally get in touch with you. Oh my gosh, I've been at a loss about what to do.
Okay.
My son's father has my son is 4.5 years old. He'll be 3 March 3rd.
Mhm.
And he's been prone to escape. So I've put an alarm system up, ring cameras all over, professional monitoring. He'll escape if I'm doing dishes, what have you. He grew up in this neighborhood. After I found that out after, but neighbors have taken to calling the police when he's gotten out. And so finally, the most recent time, the mother-in-law of my son's father's sister called. I've set alerts out for the neighbors that have kids, my number, they know where I live. But out of spite, and because I had called DHS on their kids before, they were just watching the clock, waiting for me to run down saying his name, like I
Right.
usually do, and I didn't come down in time. So the police told the paternal aunt, to take him to DHS. I was told that was, illegal, that they shouldn't have done that. And, I was scared. I thought I didn't have a choice in the matter. Come to find out, they did a removal just a few hours later because we have a custody agreement, the father and I. And I'm still in shock. This was September 20th. And
2021.
yes, I am still like, I've gone through 2 attorneys. I'm on my 3rd right now. We are still doing supervised visits. For a very short time, we were doing natural supports. But after my frustration to the worker that my attorney wasn't answering me, DHS wasn't answering me, and then I'm trying to make visits work, I was accused of yelling and arguing. I have proof because I have cameras all over my house. So I can prove that she was over exaggerating the situation, but they cut off my visits and said that it had to be in one of their facilities. And we're going on 3 months here, and I'm not moving along fast enough. I decided to get another attorney and extend out the pretrial, even though I knew I wasn't going to be able to be with my son over the holidays, which is extremely hard. I just don't know what else to do. Should I fight it? Should I, the father's son, my son's father has, he's called the police on me before. It's just it's been an ongoing issue, and he does have behavioral issues. We're taking him in to see a play therapist, and we're thinking his 2 teachers are thinking that he is going to get a diagnosis. Hopefully that will change the outcome. But the district attorney said there's no substance abuse issues. This is a supervision issue. I had let an hour, they said 3 to 4 hours time lapse. It was more like an hour and 15 minutes, and that's still too long. I admit that. I just didn't think he could get through my Fort Knox of, I thought there's no excuse. I don't know if I should take it to trial or if the hour and 15 minutes, given that he is an escape artist, is enough to try and fight it. I'm a teacher. I don't want this to affect my
job.
Right. Yeah. And I want him back, but they're wanting a mental health evaluation. I already see a therapist. They're asking for random UAs, and I don't have any drug, related charges or anything like that. A DUI from 2009, and a public intox from 2015. And I'm afraid that if I miss them with my crazy hectic schedule and appointments, that they'll count that as dirty. And
They
they're
will.
also,
They will.
yeah. And I have a very hard time with remembering things, and it's just I'm afraid of that. And they're also having me do parenting classes when I've done childhood development, CEUs, and I've been taking parenting classes voluntarily through 2 different programs here, in home and out of the home, since 2016, but while I was pregnant. And they're still asking for more. The Safe Care program is 18 weeks long. That means I won't even get done with that until the end of April. And I haven't even done semi-supervised, like trial runs. How do I get this moving? What do you suggest? Should I fight the UAs? And
Well, let me ask you something. What state are you in?
I'm in Iowa.
Okay. So, as you might imagine, I'm just licensed in California,
I
not in
understand.
Iowa. So, I'll give you advice if you were in California. Let me ask you, who has the child right now? The father?
His dad.
Okay. Do you guys get along at all?
For the most part, but he is the one that said, "Oh, I'm afraid that she's going to try and come get him." So they did the court removal. He's been trying to get out of child support. He's been in and out of his life. He wasn't there for the birth. He's been in and out since, he finally did get involved when I took him for child support when he was almost 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
I know they probably won't look at that, but the caseworker seems to be siding with him,
Mm-hmm.
and they haven't done concurrent, but yet.
To tell you exactly what you should do, I'd probably want to review the petition that is against you, that they filed against you. So let me ask you this. In their petition that they filed against you, did they make any allegations like you were a drug addict or an alcoholic or anything like that?
In the initial assessment? Or the allegations from the district attorney?
The allegations from the district attorney?
No.
Okay. So, it's a hard thing, to guess what the judge is thinking about. And in your particular case, I may want to, there's 2 ways I could go. I could fight it tooth and nail to the bone, or I could say, hey, you look like a competent woman who's not, an addict and doesn't have any mental problems. Do this to try to prove to the judge. There's something I got to tell you, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, but you can't go into a case and look at it through your sunglasses or your eyes. I was luckily enough to be trained by a guy named Jerry Spence, and he said, Vince, when you go into the courtroom, You have to look at the case from the eyes of the judge, the eyes of the prosecutor, the eyes of, in this case, the child's attorney, the social worker's attorney, the bailiff, the clerk. You know, just looking at it from your perspective is going to give you or result in a really bad strategy. Now, is it a strategy that never wins? Of course, you're going to get lucky once in a while, right? But come up with a strategy looking at it from the eyes of someone else. And in your particular situation, because I'm looking at you and I'm listening to you, as your attorney, unless you told me something different, I don't think I'd have any concerns about you, doing an evaluation, doing counseling, doing the drug test. So when you go to court, it's like, judge, they have nothing. She doesn't do drugs. She's clean psychological evaluation. She's finished the parenting. She's in counseling. Her counselor says she's good to go. With that type of evidence, in my mind, it's going to be hard for you to lose. So, it's a different type of strategy than people come to me for. When people want to fight or challenge or fight in court and have trials, a lot of people call me because that's what I'm known for. But sometimes, I remember when I was a young attorney, somebody told me one time, he says, you use the nuclear bomb on every case. He says, every case doesn't need a nuclear bomb. Sometimes you just need a hand grenade. Sometimes you just need a pea shooter. So you want to make sure that you're congruent with what the judge is thinking about the case, because the judge, him or her, they make the decision. A lot of people, it's not fair, it's corrupt. Yeah, that might be all true, but now knowing all of that, what are you going to do to win? Right before tonight, huh?
Sorry to interrupt.
Mhm.
That's I'm afraid, because it's happened several times, even though I have several safety mechanisms and everything in place. They're probably thinking, well, what's going to change? If she's not on substance abuse, or substance abuse issues and things like that, and he keeps escaping, how are we, how to even go about that? And because I didn't go to the DHS building to pick him up when they told me, because I figured the dad would go get him, and I was just like so distraught and in shock. And looking back now, I know I should have picked him up. But I mean, in the temporary removal, they claimed abandonment and that he was in danger, even though he was at the mother-in-law and paternal aunt's house. But they
Right.
claimed they found him in the street, and that's what the police were going off of. And they also made claims that he had went further, which, I know hearsay can be used, but they're lies.
Mhm.
So,
I I don't want to jinx you, but you have a fairly straightforward and easy case. Okay.
really,
And, of course, you're going to check with your attorney about anything some guy on the internet said.
she's
But,
saying the same thing.
huh?
She's
She's saying
saying the
this
same thing,
that I'm
that
saying?
that it should be easy, and
Yeah.
I know I'm clean, but I'd rather take a hair strand test. Doesn't that
Right.
make more sense?
Well, yes and no. And there are a lot of reasons for it. Remember, you're trying to convince a jury of one, the judge.
Mm-hmm.
And, the thought processes of people is a very interesting topic. Would you have more sympathy for a woman who's done 100 urine tests or one hair follicle?
It goes back further, and it would prove that I
I'm
wasn't doing
asking,
while
I'm
watching my
asking,
child.
I'm asking, you're trying to give me analysis.
I know.
So
I
you
understand.
just answer my question.
I agree. And they're looking out for the best interests of my son. And that's why I'm afraid that even though he's lived with me all of his life, that everything could change because he keeps escaping.
Right. Judges are, interesting individuals. And, one of the things that they're concerned about, or at least I would be concerned about, and is look, if I give you this kid back and he runs away again and gets killed in the street or gets kidnapped, guess whose career is now ruined?
Exactly. I know
Mine.
that. I
Mine.
know.
So, although it's an easy case, like Miss T, what are you going to do to prove to me that this ain't going to happen again, that you're not crazy, you're not on drugs, that it was just a bad accident, unlucky, series of events? You're going to have to show me. The law says they have to prove it against you. But let's be for real. If I'm the judge, I know what the law says, but I know what my gut says and what in my mind thoughts that I'll never share with anyone, right?
Hmm.
Miss T, you better prove something to me. Because I don't, I'm a judge on the fast track. I want to go to the Court of Appeals. I want to go to the Supreme Court for my state. And guess what? I can't have on my record. I can't have some dead kid because I just said, oh, yeah, they didn't prove it. And I gave the kid back to the mom because they'll turn it and they'll do things, against that judge. There was a judge, I won't mention his name, that this happened to in California, and they drug him through the coals. They took him to the state capitol. They put him on the Senate investigative stand, blah, 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 blah. Basically ruined his judicial career because he had faith in the mother and didn't listen to everything the social worker was saying. And the kids ended up deceased.
Yeah, that's
So I know it's unfair. I know, this feels wrong to you, but unfortunately, you got involved in a system, you know, that is supposed to be protecting children. And this is the easiest case to me to fix. So if your attorney is telling you the same thing that I'm telling you, you might want to consider it. Now, you can go fight everything, no problem. You know, you can pay the money, do the trial, but there's no guarantee. People ask me for guarantees all the time. And I tell them, I can't guarantee you anything. Realistically, I don't know what a judge is going to decide. I have no idea. Right. And
I do.
it's against the law for an attorney to guarantee you anything to begin with. And I ain't trying to catch a case. Right. So,
I I do have depression and anxiety. I've lost a lot of friends and family over COVID, and even more so in the last year. And I was dealing with a lot, and I was asking for help because I was struggling just even after a major surgery where I could only use one hand.
mhm.
Um, and I was reaching out, no one was helping, and the paternal family took advantage of that. Um, yeah, and and out of retaliation for calling DHS on them. I understand that's besides the point, but I mean, I guess I'm the primary custodial parent. Even if I have surgery, I can't rely on the father and his family because it's my obligation to find somebody to watch him if I'm in a medical situation and I can't properly take care of him. What else am I supposed to do?
Right. Right. How old is the child?
He is 4.5,
Yeah.
4 years, 8 months.
So you still have a few years to go with respect to him being mature enough to understand he's not supposed to run away, you know,
Yeah,
or start wandering away. And
right.
you said earlier, are they doing some type of evaluation to see if there's something going on with the child that he wanders away?
That was supposed to happen today, and his dad got COVID, so now I can't see him. It's going to be like 2.5 weeks because it was last Tuesday I saw him for 2 hours. It blows my mind that this is 3 months in and I'm only seeing him 2 hours twice a day. And before that, for a time, it was 2 hours once a week. because they were low staffed.
Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother issue about this visitation thing that plagues a lot of people, especially during COVID. But, it sounds like your attorney may be giving you the right advice. Um, you know, maybe you would seriously consider it. The other thing you can do is you can go get a consult, a free consult, or a low cost consult from another attorney and see what they say. And then you have three opinions to choose from: your attorney's opinion, my opinion, and this new attorney. But
I want
go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, no one seems to know what the modules are. And I noticed on the caseworker, it put module 3, and I'm asking attorneys, what does that mean? And they said they have no idea.
Right. And here, let me tell you the reason. You probably heard me use the term modules, right?
Yeah. And that's when I noticed it on the paperwork.
Right. Well,
Right.
that's my way of explaining to people that different points in the timeline on these cases, they're different things. They're different laws, they're different evidentiary burdens, different legal tests, different procedures. See, a lot of people I talk to think that no matter where you are in the timeline of your case, it's all the same. And that's not true. Not true at all. So in my mind, I've just broken them down into modules. And I pour all the laws that belong to module 1 into module 1. And I pour all the laws that belong to module 2 into module 2. And so on and so on. Because it's very easy to get confused and screwed up on these cases if you don't really know the law. A lot of people come to me and they're in module 4 and they're telling me about module 1. And they want to know why. They don't say this, but this is what their frustration. Well, why isn't module 1 equal to module 4? And the answer is because the state legislatures and the Department of Health and Human Services have different rules from when you are wherever you are in the timeline. And they're just different. So
initially they were, I do have a mood disorder, anxiety, and depression, which I've been managing. But they initially just wanted to see that I was getting continued care, which I did. And then they complained in an assessment or another, like an updated report, that I didn't sign a full release. And I was going off of what they said, and my attorney is telling me I should file a full release. But if we go district court, I don't want that to be used against me when my son's father takes me to court again.
right. I mean, that's a valid concern. But are you trying to win a case now, or are you trying to win a case that might happen in the future?
Right. So just do whatever I have to do, whatever they're telling me to do.
Right. Your job. Well, I didn't say that, but your job is to win now.
Right.
To win now.
As
And that's
soon
what
as
you should. That's what you should focus on. Because the truth is, if you win now and get the child back, it doesn't. Well, I won't say it doesn't matter, but if he tries to use that against you in the future, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's not a 10. It might be a 3. Something that you could easily fend off. But if you never get custody of the child back, and the case goes to district court, you're going to be screwed. It's going to be much. If you don't get the child back, the battle's going to be uphill for you to try to get the child back in family court. Follow what I'm saying?
Because even if the juvenile court can make their ruling where he has full custody or I get supervision or what have you, and then I would try to appeal that to the district court.
Correct. I want to answer a quick question posted by Denise Chavez. Didn't your website say if you're not happy with the outcome of your case, file for a rehearing? It says that, if the person is not a judge. If the person is a judge, you should file an appeal, and that is the way to handle that. That's a random question, I know, Ms. Chavez, so I wanted to answer her question. Ms. T, did you have any other questions for me this evening? Before we end, a couple of other people have joined the stream. I'm going to have
Yes.
to bring them on.
So just, released my mental health evaluation and
Well,
you
I'm
ran.
not saying that. No, remember something. I haven't read any of this stuff,
Right,
right?
right.
I don't know what your evaluation says. It might say something so drastic that I would say, Miss T, under no circumstances would I ever release that. But I haven't seen your, I'm just telling you in general. Okay. I'm giving you generalities. What I'm
Right.
supposed to tell you is talk to your lawyer and follow your lawyer, because your lawyer knows everything. I don't. I haven't reviewed your chart. Imagine going to a doctor and saying, hey, doc, do I need this operation? And I just start talking to you like, yeah, you need the operation. But doc, don't you want to see the x-rays? Don't you want to see the chart?
She
And
was
if I told you I didn't want to see the chart or x-rays, what would you think of me? This guy's a quack. Lawyer,
So
same thing.
so if so just really quick, if trying to remember what I was going to say.
Is it daytime where you are? Because I see like this light in the background. Looks like the
Oh,
sun is shining through a window.
no.
Huh.
That's my lamp.
Oh, okay. No, it's okay. It was great. The lighting was better the other way. I just thought it looked like sun was shining in your window.
Oh, no. It's late at night.
Oh.
So I
You thinking?
I'm trying to figure out how fast this can go, if visits are going to be made up, and I she was going to do stipulated adjudication, like change.
Stipulated testimony?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically change what it said, and then if everybody agrees that, okay, I don't know if it's basically admitting guilt, but like stipulating that, there's enough that I could be,
Mhm.
and then just agree to it. So it's not contesting it, but it's not.
Yeah. That's generally an easy way out of the case without having a trial. Trials are a lot of work, a lot of hard work, a lot of witnesses, for a lot of work for the attorney. Now, whether you should or should not go that route, that depends on your case, and I don't know everything about your case. I mean, we've been talking less than probably 30 minutes. How can I tell you about your case other than generalities, right? That's why I suggested, go get another free consultation or pay a nominal amount, whatever they're charging in your town for a consultation, and see what that attorney has to say if you still have questions about what your attorney in court is saying. Does that make sense?
So how successful are usually are stipulated adjudications?
Do they do that a lot? Yeah, they do it a lot. On what?
Okay. I'm saying on average, does it
Oh,
go?
it happens more than I would like to see. Right. Because I'm in court on a lot of cases or online on a lot of cases, but I don't know about these cases. Like, I don't know the facts of everybody's case. I remember thinking a few weeks ago, I was online, watching cases while I was waiting for my case. And they had this, what I would call the parent was destined to lose from the beginning, the way they were doing it. And I thought afterwards, well, I really don't know anything about that case. How can I pass judgment on it? And a lot of people call me up all the time. I had a lady today complain. I never met her before, never talked to her before. And we talked about her case. And she got upset with me because I couldn't give her definite answers. I had never seen one piece of paper in her case. And she's asking me very specific questions like, should I do A, B, or C?
Mm-hmm.
And all I could say is, well, generally, here's the pros and cons. I don't know, but since you have a lawyer who knows about your case, who's read your chart, you know, consider taking that person's advice or going to get another one advice, or, send me your file, which was about, she said, about 4 inches thick, and I'll review it, but I charge you to do that. I'm not going to review a 4-inch file just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to talk generally about the case, I'll do that.
So they pretty much make you drop UAs for everything, even if you've given tons of randoms
Right.
throughout the whole thing.
They do. In California, there's a lot of legal argument against that, especially if there's no allegation of drugs in the case. They're just going fishing, making you, go pee in a cup because they're trying to figure something out. And a lot of times I fight against that. But if I know my client's going to test clean and doesn't have a problem with doing the UAs, go do it.
Yeah.
Because 100 positive UAs goes a long way with the judge.
Okay.
All right. You remember, they're supposed to be proving the case against you, but in reality, sometimes it's you proving your innocence.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Thank you. And I don't know if you listen to our radio show on Saturdays at 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
good. Thank you.
Listening.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
You too. All right. We're kind of running out of time, but they've been on the phone or on the line. Lisa J, are you there? Lisa J, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. How are you? It's an honor to meet you.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. What state are you in?
You're too humble. I'm in Florida.
Florida. Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
I have some friends that live in kind of northern Miami area.
So they're down melting with me.
Oh, they are? Okay.
It's hot down here.
It's cool here. It's like in the high 30s or low 40s in Los Angeles County.
That must be nice.
Yeah, for us that's like, ooh, that's so cold. Then I have some friends
for us it would be freezing.
Right. But I have friends like are in Alaska and they're like, are you kidding? That's like swimsuit weather. So what can I do for you, Miss Lisa?
Well, sir, so I am about 14 months into my case and it was not looking so good. But I just had a recent judicial review and the one before this recent one, they were DCF was changing it, the permanency goal to permanent guardianship. And my last review, I have completely turned everything around and they have taken that off the table and brought back reunification, which I feel like is kind of rare at my stage of the game in my case.
It is.
But it's because I've done a lot of work. I'm a dialysis technician, so I work long hours, and I feel like I should have some type of a degree in case law because of my own research at night. But my questions to you is, I just got done with a home study. I've been waiting for months for this to happen, but it just happened, and I feel pretty good about it. I would like to know I have an out of county caseworker that came and did it, and he's very rude to me, very condescending. I had failed a hair follicle test midway through my case, and I've not had any issues since. But because of that hair follicle test, the out of county caseworker said that they were going to deny a home study. Well, the judge said, no, you're going to do it anyway. But he literally sat with his back half turned to me. It was just me and him in my home, and did the questions and everything, and I feel like I'm going to pass, but I feel like he wants to fail me. So what choices do I have? I mean, is that an appeal at that point if they say I fail the home study?
That's unique to each state. And it
Okay.
sounds like Florida does it a little differently than California. Um, what I'd focus on are the 6-month review hearings that you have,
Mhm.
or your next review hearing. And no matter what this home study says or doesn't say, you and your attorney should plan on going to what's called a trial or a contested hearing. So you should
We
talk
had
to
an
your
evidentiary hearing actually planned, but because they've changed the goal from permanent guardianship back to reunification, we have canceled that hearing.
Okay. I don't know enough about your case to comment one way or the other, but the only way that you're going to get your children back at this point, it changes, is if they recommend reunification, the children returned, and everybody agrees.
Mhm.
The point of a contested hearing or a trial is to have the judge force them to return the child to you. So I don't know
Right.
enough to tell you whether that's a good strategy, bad strategy, or what. But that's something that you're going to have to consider as you move forward. Are your children with relatives or family friends?
Yes, my
Okay,
sister.
perfect. That's great. I hope you get along with your sister.
I mean, I fake it.
Okay.
Till but it's pretty toxic situation, me and my sister. But
Mhm.
I a long time ago in my case realized that she doesn't matter. My son matters.
Right.
Um,
How
it
old is your
doesn't
son?
want to be right, or do you want to get your kids back? I think I
Oh,
heard somebody very smart. So
say that
I
again. Say that again so people can listen to that and think about it. Tell them
do
what
you
you
want to be right, or do you want your kids back?
right.
Is what you have said.
Right.
And it is so true because I felt railroaded by DCF. I felt I wanted to punish them. I wanted the world to know what they had done to me. But then I stopped looking at them and started looking at me and what could I do to better
Mhm.
myself? What could I fix? What could I change?
Right.
And it was a lot of changing that I needed to do, actually. So it is so true what you said to just the young lady you were talking to is usually there's something there. And you gotta kind of reflect on that. So,
Right.
but another question I have is the guardian ad litem has been very cold also my entire case. And he said to me, um, that the hair follicle test painted a clear picture of the person I am. Because I told him my son's 3. And I asked him, do you feel that it is an issue that I'm only getting 1 hour a week of visits with him? Do you feel like that's a problem because of his age? Don't you think we should be together more? And he said, I feel like the hair follicle test paints a clear picture of the person you are, and his placement is just fine. Well, I understand the guardian ad litem, my case manager with DCF, everybody, we're also supposed to be collaborating as a team in support of the goal, which is technically reunification. That's not in support of the goal. So I would like to, I know I can't have him fired or taken out of the case, but who do I talk to say, hey, I don't feel that he's in support of the reunification goal?
Now, in Florida, is the GAL the attorney for the child or somebody else?
Um, he is not the attorney for the child, but he works with.
Okay. So kind of like California.
He's the volunteer. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what I say about those volunteers?
What?
Don't worry about what they have to say.
I just worry because I know it's
Listen.
important to have the guardian ad litem kind of on your side
Well,
sometimes.
sometimes it'll never happen.
Right. True.
The important part of your case is you and the judge.
Right.
Notice I didn't say social worker.
Right.
I didn't say attorney for the child. I surely didn't say the GAL.
hmm
All right. Um, you and the judge. The judge makes the decision.
hmm
And before he or her makes a decision, they want to make sure that they're not going to wake up the next day in the newspaper and said, "Oh, some kid died in Lisa J's home,"
Right.
because that would be the end of their career, probably.
Sure.
All right.
Sure. That makes
Um,
sense.
so I want to tell you a story about a GAL, and I've met some really good ones, met some not so good ones, met some bad ones. I don't necessarily value their participation in cases, and I want to
Mhm.
tell you why. Early on in my career, this may be 15, 20 years ago, um, I had a GAL who was a minority, older gentleman, and he had been on the case for a while. Seemed like a really nice guy, like a grandfather type. And one time during the case, he and I ended up in a small conference room, just, shooting the breeze, waiting for our case to be called. And he started to say some really crazy stuff to me about the family,
Mhm.
racially crazy stuff.
Oh.
Right. So one of the things that I realized that, this person, this guy, he's not a lawyer, he's not a judge, he's not a social worker.
Mhm.
And in some sense, he's been given some training, but really, what is that training? The law in California and probably in a lot of states provides for the interaction of a GAL.
Mhm.
Some person that's being monitored. I mean, that's being volunteered to do this stuff. The problem is that a lot of these people, not all, I'm not going to say all, they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Right? They're just giving some random opinion based upon their education, knowledge, and experience.
Mhm.
Right? So I don't.
And I get that. I do.
So
Because
you know what?
I'm
So,
the type of person who will fight against 10,000 of them. It doesn't matter.
but, but there's only one judge.
Right. So
You
true.
focus on convincing the judge. Don't think about what the social worker is saying, because the social worker has their own agenda. The
Mhm.
GAL has his own agenda. The
Mhm.
minors attorney has their own agenda. All right. Guess there's only one person that counts, and that's the judge. You can't
Okay.
please everyone, but if you got to pick someone to please, it should be the judge. So cue your strategies and your thoughts and the way you feel about this case based upon the judge. And
I
I
like
tell
that.
people,
She's very reasonable.
right. So I mean, it comes down to things that are not legal. All right. How do you convince somebody of something? You know how to do that. You're
Right.
X number of years old. You're an adult. You've had to convince people of certain stuff that you want or didn't want. You didn't go to law school to figure that out.
Mhm.
It's the same in this court process. I don't know if it was you or the previous caller who said that they were really negative and boisterous against the system because they were pissed off, right? They took their kids, and I don't blame them. But
I think
listen,
we both said that.
I was raised by my grandmother, and my grandmother used to tell me all the time, "You get more bees with honey." And I think I
Mhm.
was about 45 till I realized she was right. Do you know how much? You know how many screw ups in my life could have been resolved if I had listened to that? Right.
That's kind of the same thing with my case. I mean, like I said, I'm 14 months in, but it wasn't until about 9 months in that I kind of started turning the finger at myself and stopped worrying about proving how I was railroaded and taken advantage of and lied to. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. These people in the end do not matter.
Right.
My son matters.
Right,
And
right before this show, I was at my office and I was meeting with a client who's getting effed over by the social worker in this case. And I told him, let's not focus on that. Let's focus on what the judge has said in court, right? Because the judge makes the final decision. Good, bad, or ugly, that's what's going to happen. And I said, if you want to get even, I said, don't get mad, get even. When you get your kids back, then let's sue the social worker for all that bullshit they were doing. Okay? Don't get mad, just get even.
agreed.
All right, very good.
I have one more question. So,
Sure.
Long story short, me and my spouse were homeless for nearly all of our case until October 29th. I am now in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, like with more space than I can imagine.
Great.
But yeah, we were abusing substances. However, he got caught with the substances and went down for it all. Went to jail. So he's painted in a much worse light than me. And it has been told to me by my lawyer and to him by everybody, he should not be coming back to the house, which I got for my family, not just me. So I understand they can say that completely, that he can't come, or they're gonna probably not reunify me with my son because I'm a lot closer than he is. But my question to you is, I know that they're going to want to monitor him because right now he's away he's taking care of his mental health and substance use issues in an inpatient environment, but it's going to be very short term. And I know that DCF is going to want to monitor him and make sure that he's, accomplishing what I've accomplished. And, but how can I orchestrate fitting him back into the home that I got for him, me, and my son? Obviously, I know that if my son's gonna come home, like my son needs to come home.
Okay. All right, Lisa, I'm going to tell you something. All right. And I have a feeling this may not go over well.
Is it the red hair?
I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I have to ask you first and foremost to tell me what is more important to you, the relationship with your husband or the possibility of losing your child forever? You tell me.
The possibility of losing my child.
Okay, fair enough. Most people would say that. I have had people tell me my husband is number one. And you know what? I respect that.
Me too.
Who am I to make that judgment? Now that you've said, though, that your son and the possibility of losing him, that means you have to do everything possible to get the child back. And if it means he can't come to the home, well, that's what it means. Now, here's something, though, you got to remember. This is important. Him not coming to the home because you have the child there is only temporary. See, when it's like this, when you don't have the child, all right, it's like this. But once you have the child, getting him back in the home, it's like this.
Right.
Whole different standard, whole different evidentiary thing. So him not being in the home is only going to be temporary. Right? Let's say you get the child, he's out of the home, everything's cool, and then he starts doing his program. Right? He starts testing, he starts doing his parenting or whatever. He'll go from a bad guy in the judge's eyes to the best guy in the judge's eye. because the judge will probably say, you know what? This guy's really turned around. And what do we think just as human beings in our subconscious mind to guys that turn around their lives? They're like our heroes. And then he gets to come back to the house. And then you guys are all together. You know, a lot of people don't want to do things step by step. We all want gratification instantly, and we want it now. We want it yesterday. These things don't work like that in life, and they don't work like that in these cases.
Right.
You know, you got to show the judge. And it takes a little time, right? But be
Yeah,
persistent.
I'm impatient, so yeah, but that totally makes sense. Because for the first time in my entire case, literally the judge, DCF, and DCF's attorney said, "Wow, the mother has turned it completely around."
Right.
And
There you go.
never, ever in a million years would bet you any amount of money that that was going to be said about me.
Right. You are now the hero of the case.
Yeah.
Okay. You've turned your life around. And congratulations, by the way, on your sobriety.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a long journey, but I think this was meant to happen. You know, unfortunate for my son, but it was meant to happen. I think for me to be healthy and to be the best mom I could be for him. So, but thank you. I will continue watching your videos. Thank you so much for all the time and effort that you put into it. I've learned a lot. You would probably maybe be a little impressed by how much I know, coming from knowing nothing. I mean, I have really researched and I have fought for myself and my rights, and I know a lot about the law, more than I ever wanted to know. But you have really greatly helped me. So thank you very much for your time.
You know what, Lisa? I want you to do something.
Sure.
I want you to text the producer, Grace,
Okay.
your name, your email address, and your phone number.
Okay.
I'm going to have her call you.
Mhm.
And I'm going to have her ask you whether you want to co-host or host one of my shows.
Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
I would be honored.
Very good. So you do that tonight, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank
All right.
you.
Good night.
Good night.
All right. So let's take one more person. We have another Miss T. Miss T, are you there? Uh-oh. Maybe Miss T is not there. Hey. Oh, yes, she is.
That was actually, I was on 2 channels.
Oh,
So,
okay. So we've
I
already
apologize.
talked, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good night again. All right, folks. So that brings us to the end of the show. We went over a little longer than anticipated, but that's okay. I want to remind everyone that this Saturday at 7 p.m., from 7 to 10 p.m., I'll be live on 790 KABC Radio in Los Angeles. You can also pick up the live stream on the radio at kabc.com anywhere in the world. And you can also catch us on all social media platforms except for YouTube on Saturday. Can't do YouTube because they have very strict rules on copyright, and there's a lot of commercials and music and stuff. So whenever I stream the radio show to YouTube, I get dinged for having copyrighted material. So don't want to do that, jeopardize the channel. So please listen in on Saturday or watch us on one of these Facebook channels. We'll be live from 7 to 10, basically doing the same thing, listening to stories, asking questions or answering questions. And once in a while, I have, surprise guests, other attorneys that come on and share their wisdom about the case. Last week, we had attorney Art Lasalento, a CPS guru from Orange County. And Art has a identical twin brother, who's also a CPS attorney. They have their own offices. His name is Michael Lasalento. I'm going to call Michael Lasalento and ask him if he wants to join us on Saturday. Oh, actually, that was reversed. Michael was on last Saturday. I'm going to call Art and ask him if he wants to be on this Saturday show. All right. I want to thank you, everyone, for watching this evening. If you have any questions, give me a call, 888-888-6582, and see if we can make an appointment to have some type of telephone conversation, or just save it and come on one of our live streams. I think this is the second or third live stream I've done this week. I'm going to try to get back to the schedule of doing the live streams every day. So we'll see you folks later. Have a good evening, and thanks for watching and listening.